Hello, Namaskar everyone. Welcome to Dhwani, which means sound in Hindi. We bring to you resonating sounds created by the actions of women innovators, leaders, experts, and entrepreneurs who are making a difference in their and others' lives. We share their stories to inspire and empower other women. Dhwani is an initiative of Innoberry, which is offering a platform for the women to voice their thoughts, struggles, challenges, achievements, highs and lows, and the journey that they have undertaken. I am Pooja Bhatia, a tech transfer, patent licensing, and intellectual property professional, and now your host for this show. Let's inspire and get inspired.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Today I have with me Kalpana Garg, who's the founder of Umbrella Legal. She's an IP attorney, alumnus of Rajiv Gandhi School of Intellectual Property Law, IIT Kharagpur. She has 11 years of experience in IP, and she'll be talking about it in a bit herself. In addition, she's also the president of Maharashtra Startup Ecosystem and Incubation Council. Welcome, Kalpana, to this show, to this session. It's a pleasure to have you here, and I'm really excited to know more about your experience and, ask you a bit tricky questions since you are a lawyer.
Yeah. Thank you, Pooja, for your kind words. And I am very glad to be part of this session and this interview. And thank you for giving me this opportunity to be on board. As Pooja has already introduced, I am Kalpana. I am an IP and legal attorney. I have 10 years experience working in-house. And then I started my firm last year, and the total experience runs to 11 years now. So I have been practicing in Mumbai and under the canopy of my own firm. So we have, I can say, very safely say, we have a list of satisfied clients who are working with us. And we are very happy to provide any kind of legal and IP services which is needed by the client at any time of the day or the year or the month. And I would really like this interview to be kind of some help for people who are just looking to start their journey and are not sure or uncertain about certain aspects. I am really hoping that I can provide some insight, some guidance, and be a little kind of a push towards that journey. So let's start, Pooja.
Thanks, Kalpana. I'm sure a lot of people are going to learn from your experience since, you had been working and then you dive down into entrepreneurship. So tell me, what prompted you to become an entrepreneur? Did you decide it beforehand, or was it something while you were working that you thought you would like to become?
So I think becoming a legal entrepreneur has been a dream since I was in second year of my law school. It was a 3-year program. And in second year, I thought that maybe one day I would like this to be a part of my resume. I remember I was interning at Origin, which is a subsidiary of Dr. Reddy's, in the month of May and June 2020, 2011. I'm sorry. So at that time, I remember while I was getting interviewed, they asked me, what is my 5-year plan? What is my 10-year plan as part of the interview questions? And I remember telling them, okay, for 5 years, I think I am going to be working in-house as a counsel. But 10 years, I would like to start my own firm. So I still remember that, people looked at me, okay, maybe she's a kid and, they have all those dreams. So while I was working in-house, I was actually hired by Hero Motocorp on campus from IIT Kharagpur, and I joined them. While I was working, I always felt that before starting my journey as a legal entrepreneur, I would like the experience to back me. So while I am talking or handling any transaction, I should at least have some exposure, if nothing, to back me, because I should know what I'm talking about, what advices am I giving, and when I'm looking at any kind of a legal documentation, I should know what are the nitty-gritties about, and for that you need to have experience backing you. So that is why while I was deciding to start my journey, I always thought that experience always helps. So I worked in-house for 10 years. I worked with the Hero Motocorp, as I said. Then I worked with TCS, then Bajaj, and then my last company was Yokohama. And after that, I started my entrepreneur journey. So last year in 2022, at the start of the year, I put my resignation and I told my boss that I am going to start my own firm. He was kind enough to tell me, okay, he would like to retain me, but since I am going towards this journey, he will not stop. And so since last year, I have been in this domain of being a legal entrepreneur, reaching out to startups, and somehow it becomes a connect point also, because they also understand that you have a business which you want to scale and expand, and they are doing the same thing. It's just that the markets and the level of clients are different, but the kind of effort and hustling that is involved is kind of equivalent.
It's a common
So
point.
correct, correct. That I will say. I always think that if you have experience, it's a good, tool in your armor that it helps you.
Kalpana, you mentioned about that, when you gave the interview for Hero Motocorp, and you did mention that you have this dream of becoming an entrepreneur. And when you gave your, summit, decided to quit, were there different comments when you were trying to make the switch? Your boss said that he won't stop you. So, but what about your friends, family? Were they concerned?
I have been really lucky in this aspect that a lot of my friends, when I was starting out, and I'm talking about fellow lawyers, fellow colleagues, I think one of my colleagues was just a little, I think, jealous that he said, "Oh, you are starting. How come you didn't offer me also? I would have come with you." That was the only thing that was, I think, in a very different tangent. Otherwise, everybody, including my mother, my husband, they were really, really supportive. And they always said that since you always wanted to do it and you have been talking about this for a couple of years now, so if you want to try this out, why not? Well, what is stopping you? You know how to do the work. You know the nitty-gritties of the work. So go ahead and do it. The only I think the only few comments that I heard were that, okay, the market is little not certain for first generation lawyers. So while you are starting out, they were friendly advices that while you are starting out, there might be couple of months where it might be difficult, and I agree that while you are starting out, it's not that people are lining up for you to start and give work. You start connecting with people, you start writing about your work, and that's how you develop a reputation, and work starts coming up. But it has been really supportive. The environment was really supportive from friends, family, and of course some colleagues who really wanted to join with me, which they felt they have not been offered to. But yeah, that way I am lucky, I'll say.
I mean, then it is good, right? I mean, many times most of the entrepreneurs do not get that support. So
Correct.
So if you
Correct.
have that backing, that's a good thing.
I have couple of clients actually who were my colleagues in my last organizations. So while I was working in house, they had left the companies and they had started their own work. So I remember they calling me while I was working in house. Okay, you told us you want to start, but when are you starting? We have work waiting for you. So I remember when I started, I reached out to them that since you guys promised that when I start, you are going to give me work, I'm now reaching out. So thankfully, I'll say that this is, I think, by God's grace and my family and friends, and of course, colleagues who have been supporting and have been a pillar of support even now.
And that's really good, right? And you have friends whom you can definitely fight and tell them, you told me to start, now I've started, so you give me work.
Correct. So I have a couple of such people in my list.
Yeah, but you mentioned that, experience and exposure is something that you felt was very important before you start off. So what kind of advice would you give to the budding entrepreneurs in the field of legal, or, what kind of exposure and experience they should gain before they get into becoming an entrepreneur?
So what happens is sometimes while you are working in-house or in a firm, what happens is you are working kind of unilaterally in a unidirectional way, that you're only handling one, let's say you're only handling trademarks, or you're only handling designs or patents. So what happens is, while you start on your own, that will not be the only area where you want to, run your business in. You would want to have work coming from the contract side, people coming to you, because a client will come and say, today, that okay, I want to file a patent. Tomorrow the same client will say, oh, I have filed the patent, and now the product is in the commercial stage. Now I want to license this patent, so can you draft the contract? So if you have not worked in, a wholesome 360-degree experience in, while supporting this, you might have to say to the client, okay, I cannot handle this, but let me just connect it to you somebody else. So my suggestion and recommendation is, while you're working in house, while you're working in a law firm, try to get an exposure of as many fields, as many domains as possible. If you are from IP, work in contracts also, because contracts work hand in hand with IP in a lot of places. For example, if you're working with startups, they will be doing a lot of fundraising. Then you will have to have due diligences in their fundraising. Also, in contracts, you will have to see IP clauses. So it's important to have exposure, and it's good to have exposure on your side. It's good to have more than one kind of specialization in your domain. So let's say a client comes to you that I am taking a loan, can you advise me what are the functionalities involved? For example, let's say you have a company coming which is kind of looking for a complete legal package. So in that, you will have to offer IP, you will have to offer contracts, then you will also have to offer what kind of compliances are applicable on that company, which they have to abide by year by year or periodically. So my suggestion is to have the experience in every domain, whichever they can get their hands on, because it helps. For example, let's say a client comes to you, okay, we have a problem where we need to see whether the compliances that are mapped to us, are they complete. So if you do not understand their business, if you do not know what kind of compliances are applicable domain by domain, so then you will have an issue. So while you are working at any place, try to be involved in every kind of transaction where some aspect of legal services are being rendered, so that you understand. And just don't do it just because you want to make it a part of your resume. Do it because you want to learn. That is my advice.
What I could understand from your point is that, Kalpana, that it's very essential to um, not just offer a main service, but also some ancillary services around it, because you are giving then 360-degree support to the client, and
Correct.
and the client is also happy because he or she doesn't have to run around to different
Correct.
people
Correct.
for it.
For example, bigger companies have 3 to 4 firms in panel for handling different parts of the business, and that happens because they have business running in different domains. But while you are working with MSMEs or startups, they have very centered business, and they do not have the capacity and the funds to have too many firms or too many lawyers on board. So for them, it is essential that there is one firm, one lawyer who is capable of rendering services. So for that, I generally advise that have exposure. See, even if you do not have a client, uh, it's good to have learning supporting you. Even today, if a new transaction comes to us and on which we have no exposure, we tell the clients, okay, we will work on it. We are very honest. We have no exposure of it. So we will advise you that, okay, go ahead and work with some other law firm or a lawyer, but we would still like to be a part of the transaction, where we would also like to have the exposure.
Yeah, and moreover, I think when even though one may not have the experience in a particular area, you can always have other people who can support you there. So that way, it's
Correct.
it's always better to tell the client that we have people whom we can connect you with, rather than having no answer.
Correct. And also, it's very important to have a network of lawyers who are working in a particular domain, because it helps while you are discussing with them anything. For example, if you talk to somebody who is working in the electric vehicle segment as a lawyer, they will tell you about certain certification. For example, there is something called FAVE, which is applicable to EV. So every day there is a learning experience. So talk to fellow lawyers, discuss what kind of work they are doing, and try to explore and learn. Sometimes you learn by reading. You do not know some few things, but if you talk to them, you will get to know, okay, there is something which is, applicable. Let's really read about it. So this is at least how I would like to go as a person who is, learning and still learning the skills of the trade, that let's learn as much as possible.
Since you're talking about learning, Kalpana, what are your future plans? Are you planning any new courses or acquiring new skills, or how do you want to scale your company? All
So,
non-confidential information, nothing confidential.
Sure. So basically, of course, I would, because we recently have celebrated 1 year of the firm, and that way, I now in the second year of the firm, I would like the firm to actually be more. We'll scale up the business, have more people on the team, and maybe offer more services. As part of the services, now we are not offering litigation services, but within a couple of years, maybe I would like litigation being a service which is offered by the firm. That, while we are offering services, we should not say, okay, to the client that, okay, we are non-litigation firm, we offer everything except litigation. A litigation will advise you, but we will connect you to a lawyer, who will take care. So I do not want that statement to go from the firm anymore in the nearest time which is coming. It has to be everything. While you're coming to us, everything under one umbrella: legal, litigation, non-litigation, IP, non-IP, everything should be from the firm itself.
That is why the firm's name is Umbrella Legal, right?
Correct. Everything in one umbrella.
Umbrella. So, Kalpana, tell me, what do you envisage in your current role as a president of the council? What is your major objective of the council, one, and what do you intend to help these startups? How do you intend to help them?
So so one of the I think major motivation behind the council is that there are a lot of startups having no idea how to go about what kind of entity to incorporate, where to go, and how much money to spend on all these processes, and after incorporation what happens. And then there are startups who are struggling with the policy part of the business, that they are certain gray areas in the law, and they are struggling with that gray area. So this initiative is going to be more towards reaching out to startups and understand their issues, be it policy, be it non-policy, be it just advising on the legal aspects or legal and policy aspects of the business, so that we can become kind of facilitators in solving their problems. And in case in those gray areas, we need to reach out to the regulatory or statutory authorities. Okay, these are the areas where we would like clarification. Or let's say somebody has to file an RTI. So from the initiative under WICCI, we may file RTIs and seek answers. Sometimes starters, while they are struggling with the gray area, are not really sure how to use RTIs. So we want to be that hand holders in the business while they continue to grow and scale up. We want to be those people who are just standing behind them and telling them, okay, we have your back. You have any issue, come to us and we are going to support, and create maybe a kind of a data bank. Okay, these things have been sorted by the council, or these things on which the regulatory authority replied, something like this. So this is the way to go forward. So something like this I have in mind, which I really want to explore and work on it in the next couple of months.
And I think it's a very great idea, Kalpana, and the objective is going to be very useful for the startups, especially in Maharashtra, with the Maharashtra Society, Innovation Society, doing so much for the startups. So yes, this initiative again will be very helpful to them, and I wish you all the best for it, and also for your future plans. And I look forward to hearing more. What are the achievements and how you are progressing? And I'll keep an eye on the LinkedIn, definitely.
Thank you. In the next couple of months, I have a few things planned in my mind, which I am going to work with the committee members also. And I'm really lucky that I have 10 ladies from different parts of the domain. One is from dental, one is from fashion, one is from education background, and another is from the manufacturing setup. So while I was creating the council and I was creating a list of members who could join and support me, I was trying to have an approach where every kind of a business is represented. That somebody having a idea of what happens in the medical field and what kind of startups are there and what kind of issues comes in the medical domain. Similarly, while I was going towards fashion, I think I'm very lucky that I became friends with a very aspiring and a very stylish fashion designer. And every time I talk to her, she gives me so much insights on the fashion and the kind of, because she has her own startup. So most of the time, I'm hearing, okay, these are the issues which people who are becoming fashion entrepreneurs or starting their own fashion houses are facing. So it's more like I'm hearing from them and then crafting a policy or crafting a strategy, okay, for the next game changers who are going to come in that industry, how we can help.
No, I think it's really wonderful, especially when you have a council with members who are experienced in different areas, as you are mentioning. So it's a clubbed or a combined effort that is going in.
Correct.
So that's very useful. So thank you so much, Kalpana, for joining me today, and I look forward to having you again on the session. Maybe a few years down, and you could share more about how the journey has been about the
I really
scaling
hope
up.
that next time I join you, that I have a big list of female lawyers in my team, who are also doing independent interviews with your team, and we are telling you, okay, we are giving all kind of services come under one umbrella. I hope that dream actually comes true.
It would, I mean, it would help
Thank
to
you
you.
for your kind words.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pooja, for your time, and thank you for reaching out and rendering this opportunity to me. It really meant a lot.